All right, guys, we got to talk about other hexoses because glucose is a hexose, and there's other ones that we ingest. Fructose right here in the muscles and the kidneys, it's phosphorylated by ATP, and it forms that fructose 1,6 biphosphate that we used in step three. So we jump right into glycolysis, no big deal. Um, in the liver, it's converted, into Gly3P. Once again, if you're wondering where things happen chemically in the body, a good answer is the liver. It does a tremendous number of things. Galactose is something else that we can ingest. That's phosphorylated, then converted to glucose. So it jumps right into glycolysis. And then mannose, this guy right here, this little squiggly line means that OH can be up or down. That's phosphorylated. Then isomerized to fructose 6 phosphate, and that jumps into step three. So there we go. Now, one of the things that people have talked about is glycolysis in cancer, and tumors grow, which means they depend on glycolysis. And they're usually found in anaerobic areas, so not near oxygen carrying blood. Um, some think that maybe shutting down glycolysis could be a treatment for this. I am not an expert at all, but it's an interesting thought. All right, let's see. Pyruvate, yes, gotta love pyruvate. What happens to it? It's very dependent. Here's pyruvate. It can become acetyl-CoA, great. That's aerobic conditions, meaning there's oxygen. It become lactate under anaerobic conditions, or it can become ethanol under fermentation. Um, Now, us biologically, we can do the first two. Ethanol, nope, that's for the yeast. So this aerobic conditions, you have oxygen, lactate. We're going to talk about muscle soreness because as you do sprints and you're in anaerobic state, you can get sore, hence this idea of lactate buildup. All right. So we're going to start here with on slide 14, pyruvate to acetyl-CoA. It's not very simple. All right. When oxygen is prevalent, pyruvate is oxidized by NADH, and we get this acetyl-CoA and CO2, and we're done. Oxygen needed to oxidize NADH back to NAD plus. Acetyl-CoA jumps into the citric acid cycle, generating ATP. So there you go. Pyruvate's in the citric acid cycle, needs O2. It's moved into the matrix, that weird spot of the mitochondria. All right. Now, becoming lactate is a little different. All right. When oxygen's low, there's different pathways. All right. And when oxygen's low, pyruvate becomes reduced. It does not get oxidized, it becomes reduced. The other pathway happens. Um, this is always happening in red blood cells because there's no mitochondria. But during exercise, ATP is a premium, which means pyruvate is used to oxidize NADH back to NAD plus because that NAD plus we need in order to generate ATP. And so you have all these different mechanisms happening. So here, lactate anaerobic conditions, no oxygen. All right. Lactate is the main product of glucose. Lactate builds up in your muscles. That leads to muscle soreness. It's also why those people that are experiencing heart attacks feel that pain because if there's no oxygen getting that muscle, which is your heart, you're gonna have lactate buildup. And it's similar to like if you have a lot of lactate built up in your legs or something like that. Everybody knows what muscle soreness is. What you end up in is oxygen debt, and lactate gradually, slowly, once you get on oxygen debt, is oxidized back to pyruvate, which can then be oxidized again into acetyl-CoA. High lactate, that's a sign for lung disease or congestive heart failure because you're not getting enough oxygen in your system.